Good morning, everyone. This is Thomas Novosel, and today I'm giving my presentation on Perfect Blue. Title of the presentation is Do I Own Myself? So, Perfect Blue is an animated movie. It was released in 1997, directed by Satoshi Kon. Kon died in 2010 from complications due to pancreatic cancer. And he has some very notable works. He's often cited as just one of the best animated directors that came from Japan. Important works including Perfect Blue, Paprika, Paranoia Agent, which is a short anime series, and Tokyo Godfathers. Something that is important to keep in mind before we get like a little further into this, into kind of like the headiness of Perfect Blue, is that Satoshi Kon's work very much mixes fantasy and reality, blurring the edges of what you kind of believe is going on with what is actually going on in reality. Uh, Perfect Blue and the movie Paprika are both perfect examples of this. So, Perfect Blue is a movie about a pop idol named Mima. Mima is going through a kind of transitory experience during the course of the movie. Starting off as a pop idol for about 3 years, she's decided that she's kind of done with the cutesy getup and wants to be taken more seriously. She no longer wants to be like doing these little shows in front of people, but she wants to be an actress. She really wants to like prove that she's an adult, no longer in like kind of these outfits and can be taken seriously. Um, so part of her becoming like over the course of the movie, while she is becoming an adult and show like proving herself as becoming an adult, uh her fans and the agency that manages her as a pop idol, all of this kind of disrupts what should be a smooth transition from one persona, aka like her like teen idol phase, into an adult phase, because the teen idol phase keeps going even when she is no longer the one running it. This ends up leading to the pop idol Mima getting out of control of the person Mima, disrupting her sense of self and control over who she is and how people see her. It's kind of like if everyone saw me as someone other than what I present myself as and who I want to be, and I just like lost control over like the way I dress, the way I talk, etc. That's kind of what pop idols have going on for them. They've they're people that have very little control over who they are seen as, and by such, who they are in the eyes of everyone. So this presentation is mostly focusing on what it is to be a pop idol as like a cultural phenomenon in Japan, using Perfect Blue as a lens. So pop idols are essentially like celebrities in or they are celebrities, and they learn how to dance, sing, and they perform like events. They're in commercials. They're like local celebrities if they were funded and PepsiCo branded, kind of. So they cater this like specific idea of who they are, likability, salesworthiness, and value to consumers. And so, for the explicit purpose of selling them as a commodity that can be used to boost sales numbers, viewing numbers of commercials and products. So there's this huge thing about wanting people to be able to connect. So you want to create the most likable person for the consumer base that you are trying to uh, get people in touch with, right? So if you were trying to get with an edgy biker crowd, you would want someone who appeals to edgy bikers. And teen idols are supposed to be this general everyone appeals to, like young men. So they are small celebrities used as brands. Um, and because of this, they are generally held deeply in control by the people that are managing them, and also the consumer fan base, to the point that they work and work and work, and then they sleep, and then they get up and work and work and work again. So agencies tend to control pop idols individually. In the movie Perfect Blue, the agency is generally signified with these two characters. You can see them in this screenshot right here. And throughout the movie, as things kind of devolve and become more chaotic, they take the brunt of all the phone calls for the pop idol Mima as she's trying to become an actress. They're the ones who negotiate her role on a crime thriller TV show called Double Bind, and they redirect what should be like uh, all of this attention and effort, or not necessarily effort, but attention, so that she doesn't have to directly relate to it or deal with it. But by doing so, they're kind of cutting her off from what is actually going on around her that she should be aware of potentially. So what do they do for pop idols? Agencies are generally the ones who book gigs, set up a schedule, manage schedules, do the phone calls, all the stuff to get you like to the interview floor and to the performance. That way, you can just focus on training, being rested, and maximizing your time. Which the agency is very aware of. Like, why would you have a pop idol do the busy work when the agency doesn't make money for them doing busy work? So in the movie Perfect Blue, Mima is booked to do several interviews, a nude, not necessarily a nude photography spread, but then it becomes a nude photography spread for a photo shoot. Um, and they also a recurring role in the TV show Double Bind, which is in the movie. Um, and just trying to manage her transition to be as profitable as possible, because she was kind of not doing as well as a pop idol, like sales numbers wise, in the idol group that she was a member of. Their control over image is such that when a bomb goes off within an envelope, injuring one of the agency leaders, the one with the cell phone, they don't report it to the news or the police because it occurred on set at a gig that Mimo was working for Double Bind. And so that would have brought negative press to the show and to Mima, and potentially have hurt the potential for her to like continue acting on the show. It would not have been good for the image of the pop idol or actress. So in real life, outside of the movie Perfect Blue, you can also see similar ways where agencies are controlling people. Specifically, idols have been noted in the news as shaving their heads to show shame in their actions in order to seek forgiveness from fans in recorded videos. Agencies making idols' schedules so busy that they are too tired to do anything after work, thus meaning they can only work and not socialize. When socialization generally brings negative PR because it taints the kind of like virginal appearance of the pop idol in the eyes of the fans, which lowers their likability for general audiences. And then another noted news story had an idol specifically doing a telecast apology for being assaulted by fans, while the agency remained silent until other fans pushed so hard that they had to release a statement. That is just one way that idols, like the person, is controlled in the public light. So the next group that kind of controls pop idols as celebrities and is a force to be reckoned with are the fans. So people who, in the movie, there's groups that are handing out scenes and publications. There's fan websites that document the actress's life. It turns out that that is run by a different character in the movie, but ultimately, that person was just a very obsessive fan that stalked and harassed and kind of just monitored Mima's life and posted it all online for everyone to see. And but it was treated as if it was kind of a semi-official source, naming it Mima's room, Mima's diary, and so fans would be like, "Oh, well, maybe this is true. Oh, well, this they don't know it's a fan that's writing this, who's obsessive. So, but is saying these terrible things about this person that's an imposter, etc." Um, but it the fans themselves, their perception of the individual that they see performing is kind of who that individual is in reality, because the agency is going to look at what the fans are doing and change the persona based on fan reaction. But also, the fans themselves are also going to react then and say, oh, well, the agency is changing this, removing agency from the actual human being that is playing the persona of the pop idol. Um, so throughout at different points during the movie, there are actually conversations of this small group of fans that are talking about how, well, of course the agency would want her to do this scantily clad thing, if they, because that's what sells. That's how you get good ratings at this TV show. Um, and it turns out that they offered Mima multiple times, like, "Hey, you don't want to do this, right?" Uh, and Mima was like, "No, I want to be like a serious actress. This is what I'm going to do." And she later regrets doing it, and has conflict over it. But the fans don't know that. The fans don't know what's going on there. So they're going to change the story depending on what fits what they want to hear the most, and what fits their kind of reality version of who this character is, and who this person is in their best light for marketing reasons, right? So this person's image is flexible within their heads because they've been specifically targeted through advertising to have this specific idea of this individual. So the next one is kind of a little headier, but the next person who kind of controls Mima is the persona itself. So not the individual person, but the person that you are playing controls who you are, right? So, for instance, we have here the green shirted Mima, and then we have the performance, which is the pop idol Mima. And they kind of split during the movie, but the actual individual, the human, kind of loses control to the pop idol, because the pop idol is the performance, right? So, for instance, a good example of this is going to be, if I act like a jerk, it doesn't matter if I'm not a jerk or not, because everyone's going to think I'm a jerk, because that person is how I present, right? So the presentation of the pop idol Mima as this kind of like wearing the skirt and doing like pop idol singing events, that's going to influence how all of the fans see that human being underneath that is maybe more complex and not as cultivated, right? So, um, for instance, the performances and the voice that Mima uses while performing as the pop idol is softer and much more kind of like for being liked, right? So, but the fans are going to interpret what the individual underneath that outfit and underneath that persona, who they are based on that outer persona, um, and that kind of like removes some agency from the individual, especially when there are so many things that get factored into the crafting of that persona, because it's not just the individual who's playing that like character. It is also the agency. It is also marketing forces. Um, so it kind of leaves you powerless and not able to be like an individual, as Mima is here. When she loses access to the pop idol, she kind of flails and looks for some form of identity, as she kind of doesn't have control. And it's not like the pop idol Mima just died. It was still there and it still exists. It's just something that she had always been and grown into. So she had to grow into something new, and it ended up being a difficult experience. So, but we can't ignore that adult Mima is actually a person in here, right? The pop idol, the celebrity, is a human being, and they do have influence and control. Um, even if it is hard to determine what influence and control that they still have it. So because in determining who the pop idol is, Mima has kind of like this lack of self ownership. So ownership of the pop idol, because all these other people and forces are controlling and pressuring her to act a specific way, right? So her inside, her human being, is not as perceptible due to the heavily publicized life that is under a lot of control, to the point where all that she can kind of identify of herself is the performance almost, as far as the movie is concerned. It starts with the performance and it kind of ends with the performance too. Um, like when she's leaving at the last scene from a psychiatric hospital, the director uses an audio trick to have her voice be a different character's voice. In the original audio track. One great quote that kind of shows how there's this blending of characters and identity is Mima's character in the show Double Bind is playing a character that has kind of like multiple personalities and says this line in the rain between kind of like nightmare wake ups of the actual human being Mima. Oh God, I don't know anything about myself anymore. So it's not knowing who you are because you've like transitioned out of this thing. And it's because you kind of didn't have real control over it in the first place. So you're having control over yourself for the first time, and it's kind of like this chaotic flailing thing of being an individual. So where does this kind of all come back to? So the general thing here, I think, is coming into like how people have different faces and different personalities and identities in public, and that the presentation given off and catered and created by all of these like forces for the pop idol as an individual create the reality of who this person is, but then ultimately that reality is also performance, but that doesn't make it not reality. It just makes it also a performance and also an interpretation of reality. So I think that Mima's got a pretty good line here when talking about the pop idol version of herself, her younger self, after these traumatic events, talking about it. I know that I will never see her again, but thanks to her, I am who I am today. And I think that has to do with like all of these things still shape the individual and who they are going to be, even if you are out of control and the interpretation is maybe not what you actually wanted people to think of you as. You kind of still are going to grow from that, and you still are going to end up taking ownership of that because people are going to place ownership on you and remove ownership as well. So, and last note before we're done, here is a great quote from one of my sources. To the West, all this idol drama can easily come off as wacky Japan nonsense. But these incidents and lack of regulation in the idol industry are as serious as the abuses committed in the Western entertainment industry. And something that is important to acknowledge is that uh, by giving this presentation and by talking about this in this way, everyone is going to be participating in that interpretation of reality and creating the reality of who someone is. When we talk about American celebrities, we're crafting who that person is without knowing that person in a way that no one can ever know that person. Uh, so it's kind of one of those things where we're always participating, even when we're analyzing and thinking about a thing. We are also participants in the thing. So we have to be kind and give as much care as possible when talking about different human beings, regardless of like their status, because it can be complex, and it often is complex, even if it seems simple. Anyways, thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful Monday. This is my works cited source, and have a good one. Thank you.